The snow-covered city was still half asleep when the emergency lights flickered through the frosted windows of Arlen Hart's office. It had been a quiet, steady morning, until a trembling knock changed everything. A little girl, no older than 7, stood in the doorway with snow tangled in her hair and fear clouding her eyes. Her small voice cracked as she whispered the words that sliced straight into Arlen's chest, "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night." In that instant, the world around him seemed to freeze harder than the winter outside. He didn't know her mother, didn't know why she had managed to slip past security, but he knew one thing with absolute clarity: he could not stand still while a child was scared and alone. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Good Soul. Your support helps us spread stories that matter. Arlen had built his entire life on discipline, logic, and perfectly calculated decisions. As CEO of a major firm, he was known for being composed even under the most crushing pressure. But now, looking at this shivering child, Sarah Marin, he felt something he had spent years burying: the ache of old wounds and the instinct to protect. He took a slow breath, steadying himself as he listened to her broken explanation. Her mother, Ivy, worked late shifts at a nearby diner. She always came home before midnight. Always. But last night, the hours stretched into dawn, and the little apartment remained silent. Sarah had walked through the early morning snow alone, crossing blocks of icy streets, because she remembered her mother once saying, "Mr. Hart's building always has lights on. You'll be safe near people." Arlen didn't know why that simple sentence clenched his heart so tightly. Maybe because years ago, he had been a boy waiting for a parent who never returned. He shook off the memory as he grabbed his coat, guiding Sarah gently toward the elevator. Outside, the day was bright and frigid, the kind of winter morning that hid its dangers beneath a beautiful shine. The snowstorm from last night had left roads slippery and air razor-sharp, but Arlen didn't hesitate. With Sarah bundled in his office jacket, they made their way toward the last place Ivy was seen. The city felt strangely quiet as they reached the diner. Sunlight glared off the wet pavement, and the open sign flickered weakly. The manager, an older woman with worry carved into her face, said Ivy clocked out just after 10 p.m. She was tired but smiling, the kind of smile that tries to hide exhaustion. She mentioned needing to walk home because the buses had stopped early due to the storm. Arlen's chest tightened. A lone woman walking home during a blizzard, on icy roads, in freezing wind, anything could have happened. He refused to let panic rule him. He studied the route Ivy usually took, piecing together every detail. Sarah stayed close to him, clutching the sleeve of his coat as though it was the only thing keeping her upright. When they reached a stretch of road where the snow was still uneven, Arlen noticed something barely visible: faint footprints trailing toward the wooded edge near the old bridge. The midday sun revealed the patterns clearly now, as if guiding them. His pulse hammered as they followed the tracks. The wind whipped around them, carrying the sharp scent of pine and cold river water. Suddenly, a patch of disturbed snow caught his eye. A flash of fabric, half buried. Arlen rushed forward, brushing away chunks of ice until Ivy's pale hand came into view. She was lying against a fallen branch, her leg trapped awkwardly beneath it. But she was breathing, weakly, but breathing. Relief flooded him so powerfully he almost fell to his knees. He radioed emergency services immediately, his voice raw from urgency. Sarah dropped beside her mother, tears streaming down her cheeks as she wrapped her small hands around Ivy's. Arlen's throat tightened at the sight. Ivy's eyes fluttered open, confusion melting into overwhelming relief as she recognized her daughter's face. She mouthed a thank you toward Arlen, too exhausted to speak. And in that moment, with the winter sun breaking through the clouds and firefighters rushing toward them, Arlen felt something shift inside him, something he had not allowed himself to feel in years. The quiet reminder that compassion still had the power to save, heal, and rebuild. At the hospital, warmth finally replaced the biting cold. Doctors assured them Ivy would recover with rest, and Sarah refused to leave her mother's side. Arlen stood near the door, watching the reunion, feeling the weight of emotions he had long locked away. He didn't know why helping them filled a hollow space he'd been carrying for so long, but he didn't try to push the feeling aside. Sometimes life gave you unexpected moments of purpose, moments that reminded you why humanity mattered. Before he left, Sarah ran up and hugged him with all the strength her little body could hold. It startled him at first, but then his arms wrapped around her gently, almost instinctively. Ivy looked at him with teary gratitude that said everything words couldn't. Arlen realized he had not simply rescued two strangers from danger, he had rediscovered the part of himself he thought success required him to sacrifice, the part that cared deeply. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Good Soul so more people can experience stories of courage and compassion. Special request, comment, humanity still lives, if you believe kindness can change lives.